Am I audible to all of you? Just write in the chat box. Okay. So now I am sharing my today's presentation slides. Just wait a minute. Now all of you clearly see these slides on your screen. Just write on the just write in the chat box. Okay. So let's start today's class. In the last class, we we already discussed the cache memory. So just I am revising it because today's class is basically dependent on the last class. So basically we know that the cache memory lies between the main memory and the CPU, and its main function is to speed up the process. So this diagram is very important. So the data transfer in the form of words between the cache memory and the CPU. So the data transfer between cache and CPU is known as the word transfer, whereas the data transfer between the main memory and the cache memory is known as the block transfer. So this we already discussed in our last class. So we already discussed that there are basically two important locality of reference. One is temporal locality and the second is spatial locality. Then we know that the execution of program, first the CPU finds the word in the register. If the word is not found in the register, then it goes to the step 2. And in the step 2, we have the cache memory, or at the level 1, we know that in the memory hierarchy diagram at level 1 there exists a cache memory. So as the word is not found in the level 0, then we need to find that word in the level 1, which is the cache memory. So there also two possibilities arises. If the word is found in the cache memory, then that word is delivered to the CPU, and this is known as the cache hit. And if the word is not found in the cache memory, then we move to the step 3, and this is known as the cache miss. So at the step 3, we are at the level 2 of the memory hierarchy, and at this level, main memory exists. So here comes the concept of page table. So here also, just a minute, some students are waiting in the lobby. So at level 2, in the main memory, a page table concept exists. Here also we need to search the word whether it exists in the main memory or not. So here also two possibilities arises. In the first possibility, if we found that word in the main memory, then that word is transferred from the main memory to the cache memory, and this mapping technique is known as cache mapping technique, and this technique is very important in terms of your examination point of view, because theory question as well as numerical comes very often from the cache mapping technique. And today we are going to discuss this cache mapping technique in detail. So if that word is, the second possibility is that if that word is not found in the main memory, then is going to search in the secondary memory. Means we need to search that word in the level 3 and level 4. So we already know the applications of cache memory. As the cache memory is very fast, so its application is the fast speed of cache memory makes it extremely useful. And its second task, which is very much important, it is used for bridging the speed mismatch between the fastest CPU and the main memory. This we already discussed in our last class. Then comes the concept of multi-level cache organization. So here comes the concept that from this diagram you can easily see that the multi-level cache organization is exists in this form. So as the cache memory exists between the CPU and the main memory, so between the CPU and the main memory, the cache memory exists in different sizes. So these sizes are known as the level 1, level 2 and level 3 cache. So the cache memory which comes nearer to the CPU is known as the level 1 cache, and it is the fastest among all the cache memories. And in between that there is level 2, and after that the level 3. So level 3 is nearer to the main memory, and it is the slowest cache memory among the cache memories. So as you can see in the on your screen that there is written as size of L1 cache is less than size of L2 cache is less than size of L3 cache and is less than size of main memory. So this portion we already discussed in our last class, and today's in today's lecture we are going to discuss much more deeply the concept of cache mapping. So this topic is very important from examination point of view. So let's discuss it. So first, the definition of cache mapping. So cache mapping defines how a block from the main memory is mapped to the cache memory in the case of a cache miss. Here comes the concept of cache miss, because the cache mapping only exists when we are at the stage of main memory, and when we at the stage of main memory, so we already crossed the level 1 of the cache memory. Means the word we are looking is not found in the cache memory. That's why we come to the level 2, which is main memory. So the cache memory defines how a block from the main memory is mapped to the cache memory in case of a cache miss. The other important definition of cache mapping is the cache mapping is a technique by which the contents of the main memory are brought into the cache memory. So basically the word or the content from the main memory is need to be brought into the cache memory. That process is known as cache mapping. So from the diagram in the next slide, you will clearly understand it. So from this diagram, you can see from the diagram that cache memory exists between the CPU and the main memory, and you already know that the transfer of data between the cache and the processor is known as word, whereas the transfer of data between the cache and the main memory is known as block. So once we need to transfer that word from the main memory to the cache memory, and that process is known as the cache mapping. So in today's topic, we are going to discuss the cache mapping, and the next topic of the memory organization is virtual mapping. So you can see from this diagram as well that if we don't found that word in the main memory, then we need to move to the secondary storage for finding that word, and and uh, and the data or the word which we need to transfer from the secondary storage to the main memory. This process is known as virtual memory, and the mapping which takes place between the secondary storage and the main memory is known as the virtual memory mapping. So this is the next topic we will discuss. We will going to discuss after we completed the cache mapping. So all of you understand this diagram. This diagram is very much important. Just write in the chat box. Okay. So moving to the next slide. So there are few important points which need to be remembered. So main memory is divided into equal size partitions called as blocks or frames. Cache memory is divided into partitions having same size as that of blocks called as lines. It means the size of block in the main memory and the size of line which is in the cache memory is considered to be same size. So during cache mapping, block of main memory is simply copied to the cache and the block is not actually brought from the main memory. So basically a copy has been created from, and that copy has been transferred from the main memory to the cache memory. Basically we need to copy it, not to move that word into the cache memory. So after copying, so both the main memory and the cache memory contains that word. So these points need to be remembered while discussing the cache mapping. So moving to the next slide. So basically the cache mapping techniques are basically of three types, and these three and all the three types are important. So first type of mapping is cache mapping is first is direct mapping, second is fully associative mapping, and the third is k-way set associative mapping. So let us discuss each of these cache mapping techniques one by one. So moving to the next slide. So first mapping technique is direct mapping. So in the case of direct mapping, a particular block of main memory can map only to a particular line of the cache. So as its name is direct, so you need to remember it that a particular block from the main memory can map only to a particular line of the cache. Means the block number and the cache number and the line of the cache is fixed in this case. So the line number of cache to which a particular block can map is given by, so according to this formula, it is given by cache line number is equal to cache line number is on the left hand side, and on the right hand side is main memory block address modulo. Means we need to take the remainder here. This is modulo number of lines in cache. So this is the formula for calculating the block from the main memory to which line or in the cache memory it is mapped. So let's discuss uh, from the example in the next slide. So here you can see in the example, there are two memories, cache memory and the main memory. So here you can see that the cache memory is divided into n number of lines, from line number 0 to line number, you can say, n minus 1. So it is as it is in the form of, we are storing it in the form of array. So array starts with 0, so we are taking it line number 0, line 1 to line number n minus 1. So basically there are n, total number of lines are n, and you can see from the figure that the main memory is divided into equal sized blocks, from block number 0 to block number 1 and so on. So here the block J of the main memory can map to line number J mod n only of the cache. So here we need to map this block number J from the main memory to the line number in the cache memory. So the line number which can be mapped is given by the formula which we discussed in our previous slide, that J mod n. So basically it comes from the formula n only this line number of the cache memory is mapped with block J of the main memory, and no other line is mapped here. So that's why this type of mapping technique is known as the direct mapping technique. So moving to the next slide, all of you understand this concept? Just remember this diagram. This diagram is very important in the direct mapping. Just write in the chat box so that we can move further. Okay. So moving to the next slide. So the next topic is need of replacement algorithm. So in direct mapping, there is no need of any replacement algorithm. This is because a main memory block can map only to a particular line of the cache memory. So that's why we do not need any types of replacement algorithm in this technique. So thus the new incoming block will always replace the existing block, if any, in that particular line. So even if uh, a, a block is present in the a block is mapped in the cache memory, then that block is going to be replaced if second block comes at the same position. So but this is the technique, or the formula is given in such a way that we need to just follow it, and that's why there is no replacement algorithm here. It is just a strict form of mapping. So just moving to the next slide. So this is its disadvantage basically. So in the next mapping, we are going to remove this disadvantage. So just moving to the next slide. So the physical address which is going to be used in solving the numericals based on direct mapping cache memory technique. So you need to remember this format. So in direct mapping, the physical address is divided into three parts. So first is the tag part, second is the line number part, and the third is the block oblique line offset part. So the tag and the line number together is known as the block number. So if a block number is given to you, then you need to consider this as a combination of tag and the line number. So just a minute, some more participants are waiting in the lobby. Okay. So just remember this physical address of direct mapping. So all the three memory mapping techniques of cache memory has its individual physical address format. So direct mapping physical format is like this. It is divided into three parts: tag, line number, and block oblique line offset. So just move into the next slide. So then So the next type of memory mapping technique of cache memory is fully associative mapping. So in fully associative mapping, a block of main memory can map to any line of the cache, not to a particular line, as we already discussed in the direct mapping. So it can map to any line of the cache that is freely available at that moment. So this is its advantage. So whatever the line is free in the cache, the block from the main memory can map to the freely available line in the cache. So this makes fully associative mapping more flexible than the direct mapping. So this is its advantage in comparison to the direct mapping. So moving to the next slide. So it can be cleared from the diagram. So in the case of fully associative mapping, is we have basically two memories, cache and the main memory for mapping. So basically the main memory is divided into equally sized block from block 0, block 1 and so on. In the same way, the cache memory is also divided into equally sized line numbers like line 0, line 1 and so on. Care must be taken that the block size or the line size in the cache memory is same as the block size in the main memory. So as you can see, this is freely available in the main memory. So if we want to transfer this block j in the cache memory, as it is all the blocks are empty, so it can go to line number 0, it can go to line number 1, or it can go to or it can go to line m plus 1, any freely available line which is free at that moment. So the block of main memory can mapped to the freely available line in the cache memory. So this is its advantage. So moving to the next slide. So the next topic is the need of replacement algorithm. So in the case of fully associative mapping, a replacement algorithm is required. So a replacement algorithm suggests the block to be replaced if all the cache lines are occupied. So replacement algorithm is needed when all the cache memory lines are fully occupied, and uh, we need to uh, transfer the block from the main memory to the cache memory. As all are occupied, so we need to replace one cache line uh, in order to transfer the required block from the main memory to the cache memory. So here a replacement algorithm is required. So thus replacement algorithms, like here two types of replacement algorithm are more predominantly used. So first is FCFS, which is first come first serve algorithm, and second is least recently used. So its short form is LRU. So these type of algorithm are basically employed um, in the in the fully associative mapping. So moving to the next slide. So as we already see the physical address of direct mapping, so which is divided into three parts. So in the case of fully associative mapping, the physical address is divided into two parts. So first is block number oblique tag, and the second is block oblique line offset. So so you need to remember it that the physical address in the case of direct mapping is divided into three parts, whereas the physical address in the case of fully associative mapping is divided into two parts. So all of you understand the concept of fully associative mapping? Just write in the chat box. Okay. So moving to the next slide. Now we are going to discuss the third type of mapping, which is K-way set associative mapping. So in K-way set associative mapping, so cache lines are grouped into sets. Remember this word, sets. So cache lines are grouped into sets where each set contains k number of lines. So here the important word is set, and each set contains k number of lines in it. So a particular block of main memory can map to only one particular set of the cache memory. So we will discuss it in detail in the next slide with a diagram. So just to follow the lines written here. So however, within that set, the memory block can map any cache line that is freely available, but the memory block can map only to that set. However, in that set, it can go through any line, any cache line which is freely available, but it must map to the particular set. So the set of the cache to which a particular block of the main memory can map is given by. So here also a formula is given to you uh, for finding the cache set number. So this is the formula. So cache set number is equal to main memory block address modulo, which is used for remainder, number of sets in cache. So this is the formula which is used for mapping from main memory to cache memory in the case of k-way set associative mapping. So you need to remember this formula in solving the questions which is based on k-way set associative mapping. So just moving to the next slide. So from the figure of k-way set associative mapping, you can easily find out how it is working. So consider the following example of two-way set associative cache. So here you can see we have two memories, cache memory and the main memory. So the main memory is divided into equal sized block. Here you can see in the cache memory it is divided into equal size line number from 0 to line m plus 1, but here you can see an important uh, new word is there is set numbers. So set number is basically you can see that first set contains two blocks and it is number as set 0. In the same way the last set is numbered as set m. So why we are taking it as 2 in this case? Because we are taking two-way set here. So the k basically represent the number. In the case if we are taking the three-way set, then if three-way set is there, then we can have the set which is containing of three lines. So in the case of two-way set, here we have set which is containing of two lines, 1 and 2. So here also 1 and 2. So just remember this terminology. So all of you understand this diagram? Just write in the chat box so that we can move further. K-way is a generalized term, and you are given the two-way or the three-way in the case of numericals. So just moving the next slide. So there are some important points related to k-way set associative mapping. So here k is equal to 2 suggests that each set contains two cache lines. So since cache contains 6 lines, so number of sets in the cache is 6 divided by 2. So there will be 3 sets. If the number of lines in the cache is 6 and we have a set consisting of 2 lines, then the number of set can be find out by using this method. And here we need to divide 6 by 2. So here we get three number of sets here. So block J of the main memory can map to set number. As we already know the formula of k-way set associative mapping. So we can use that formula J mod 3. So because here 3 denotes the number of sets in the k-way set associative mapping. So this formula we are applying. So J mod 3 only of the cache. So within that set, block J can map to any cache line that is freely available to that moment. So care must be taken that we need to map that particular set from the main memory. But within that set, you can choose any number of line which is freely available. So if all cache lines are occupied, then one of the existing blocks will have to be replaced. So here also we need a replacement algorithm if all the cache lines are occupied. So we need to replace one cache line in order to fill newly transferred word from the main memory. So moving to the next slide. So the next topic is need of replacement algorithm. So set associative mapping is a combination of direct mapping and fully associative mapping. So it uses fully associative mapping within each set. So this is an important line. So set associative mapping is a combination. It contains both the the features of direct mapping as well as fully associative mapping. So it uses fully associative mapping within each set. So thus, set associative mapping requires a replacement algorithm. As we already know that a fully associative mapping requires a replacement algorithm, as we already discussed that FCFS and LRU are some of the examples of replacement algorithm which is used by fully associative mapping. So in the same way, the set associative mapping also requires a replacement algorithm. So moving to the next slide. So the division of physical address. So in the case of set associative mapping, the physical address is divided into three parts. So just like the direct like the physical address of direct mapping, which is divided into three parts. In the same way, the set associative mapping is also divided into three parts. So first is the tag, second is the set number, and the third is block oblique line offset. So here you can see an important uh, differences there. In the case of set associative mapping, the second uh, block is set number, because here we introduce a set in the set associative mapping. Whereas in the direct mapping, it is in this place there is block number in place of set number. So just remember this type of physical address, which is very much used in solving the numerical problems, which we are going to discuss later. So all of you understand this concept? Just write in the chat box so that we can move further. Okay. So moving to the next slide. So there are two special cases. So the first case is if k is equal to 1. So then k-way set associative mapping becomes direct mapping. So, so one-way set associative mapping is equivalent to direct mapping. So when the value of k is 1, the set associative mapping behaves like a direct mapping. Just remember this important point. If the second case is if k is equal to total number of lines in the cache, so then k way set associative mapping becomes a fully associative mapping. So so the k-way set associative mapping can become direct mapping as well as fully associative mapping according to the given condition. So if k is equal to 1, it can be behaved as direct mapping, and if k is equal to n, which is the number of lines in the cache, then it will behave as fully associative mapping. So just remember these two special cases. So that's all the theory part of cache memory as well as the cache mapping technique. So all of you understand it? Just write in the chat box. Okay, so now we are going to start the numericals, which is based on the first cache mapping technique, which is known as the direct mapping technique. So I am just changing the slides. Just wait a minute. Now, now all of you can see these slides clearly. So, the our second topic is the direct mapping and its numericals. So, just we are going to start this topic. So, basically, the introduction we already know, as we discussed in our last in the last slide, that the direct mapping, a particular block of main memory can map only to a particular line of cache. So the line number of cache to which a particular block can map is given by this. So just write this formula in your copy. This is very useful in order to solve the numerical. Just write this formula in your copy. That cache number line is going to be find out by using this formula is equal to main memory block address modulo. You can write modulo by using this symbol modulo number of lines in cache. So this is the formula which we are going to use in solving the numericals. Then the another important point in solving the numerical is, in the case of direct mapping, the physical address is divided into three parts. So the first, you need to also write this figure in your copy. That three parts are tag, line number, and block oblique line offset. So tag and line number combinedly known as the block number. So this can be very useful in solving the numericals. So move into the next slide. So these are some of the important points which needs to be remembered in before solving the question based on direct mapping technique. So in the case of direct map cache, so after CPU generates a memory request, the line number field of the address is used to access the particular line of the cache. As we can see, as we can know from the diagram we already discussed earlier. So the tag field, so the tag field of the CPU address is then compared with the tag of the line. So these are some of the important points before solving the questions on direct mapping cache. So if two tags match, means that the tag field from the CPU address and the tag field from the cache line. So if the two tags match, a cache hit occurs and the desired word is found in the cache. If the two tags do not match, a cache miss occurs. So in case of a cache miss, the required word has to be brought from the main memory. So as we already discussed from our previous slides, that if the word is not found in the cache, then we need to search that word in the main memory and we need to brought that word from the main memory to the cache memory. So this type of mapping technique is known as cache mapping technique. So it is then stored in the cache together with the new tag replacing the previous one. So these are some of the important points. So all of you understand this point? Just write in the chat box so that we can move to the numerical part. Just you need to remember the formula as well as the physical address format of the direct mapping. All of you note that formula. Okay. So moving to the numerical part, just pay attention here. So the question one. So here you can see that a question is given to you. Consider a direct mapped cache. Here you can see the word they are giving you direct mapped cache. So you need to apply the direct mapping formula here. So consider a direct map cache of size 512 KB with block size 1 KB. There are 7 bits in the tag. So find size of the main memory, the second tag directory size. So only 5 minutes are there. So just we need to solve this numerical. So just you need to remember or write these the given what is given to you and what you need to be find out. So this is the question. You are given the cache size, the block size, the number of bits in the tag, and you need to find out size of the main memory and the tag directory size. So let's move into the next slide. So this is the solution. So here how we can solve this question. So first you need to write what is being given to you. So you are given cache memory size, which is 512 KB. Block size is given to you, but we already know that block size is equal to frame size is equal to the line size, and its size is given as 1 KB, and number of bits in the tag is given as 7 bits. So these are the given things from the question. So we consider that the memory is byte addressable. So we can use it that memory is byte addressable. So number of bits in block offset. So first we need to find number of bits in block offset. So this the physical address diagram of finding the direct mapping is going to be used here, which is divided into 3 parts. One is tag, second is the line number, third is the block oblique line offset. So first we need to find out number of bits in the block offset, means the third this block offset. So as we know that the size of the block size is 1 KB. So 1 KB is replaced by 2 to the power 10 bytes, because we are considering the memory is byte addressable. So you can also know that that 1 KB is equal to 2 to the power 10 bytes, means 1024. You already know the conversion. So 1 KB is equal to 1024 bytes, because it is given in the form of 2 in the powers of 2. So block size equal to 1 KB is equal to 2 to the power 10 bytes. So thus number of bits in the block offset is 10 bits, because 2 to the power 10 is there. So here we can take the 10 from here. So means number of bits in the block offset is 10 bits. So here comes the 10 bits in the third part of the physical address of direct mapping. So and also we know that the 7 bits are there in the tag. So now we need to find out how many bits are there in the line number. So moving to the next slide. So number of bits in the line number. So total number of lines in the cache is given by this formula: cache size divided by the line size. So here we are given the cache size is 512 KB and line size is equal to the block size, which is 1 KB. So dividing in this way, so we get 512 can be replaced by 2 to the power 9. 2 to the power 9 is equivalent to 512. So there are 2 to the power 9 lines. So here 9 is there. So thus number of bits in the line number is 9 bits. So here 9 is there. So we already, so here all the 3 parts like tag, line number and block oblique line offset, we already find is 10 bits, 9 bits and 7 bits. So the number of bits in physical address is given by number of bits in the tag plus number of bits in the line number plus number of bits in block offset, which is 7 bits plus 9 bit plus 10 bit, which is equivalent to 26 bit. So number of bits in the physical address is 26 bit. So we need to find the size of the main memory. So moving to the next slide. So the size of the main memory is basically the number of bits in the physical address, which is 26 bits. So size of the main memory is 2 to the power 26 bytes, so which is 64 MB. So this conclude our the first part of the question, size of main memory, and how we can find the TAT directory size. So it is given by this formula: TAT directory size is equal to number of TATs into TAT size. So number of, which can also be translated into number of lines in